Based on so he gets high on you and the energy you trade. He gets right on to the friction of the day.
The friction of the day on this day, the 14th, big day, 14th October, 2014. Tom Trento here with another, I don't know, guys. This is either going to be a great show or a crazy show because we got kind of free-flowing right now. I'll explain that to the audience in a minute. But on today's show, we have a little commentary on Mr. Obama, absolute worst president ever, maybe the worst leader ever of a free nation, particularly when you tell the enemy what you're not going to do. Tell the enemy what you're not going to do. Today's show. We also have a little primer on EDV, the Ebola disease virus. What is this thing all about? Well, we're going to give you a little bit of information on that so you understand it a bit better, particularly from a national security perspective. Then our dear friend Frank Gaffney got hit again, once again. Remember, this coming Thursday, if today's the 14th, that's the 16th, we'll have a special feature on CARE going after American heroes, two of whom are General Jerry Boykin and Frank Gaffney. That's Thursday show. Don't miss that. We will declare and prove that CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations, is in fact, gentlemen, a
terrorist organization.
A friggin' terrorist organization calling out American heroes. That's pretty cool. Also on today's show, an introduction. She will be our special guest, one of our special guests. Tomorrow, our friend Jan Morgan, she declared her shooting range in Arkansas a Muslim-free zone.
Really?
CARE went bonkers over that. We'll talk about that in a
Muslim-free
minute.
zone, huh? Okay.
Jan will be with us tomorrow, but today we're going to introduce that. We're going to talk about the Islamic State, which is not ISIS, not ISIL. Those are misnomers, wrong nomenclature. It is the Islamic State. If you don't believe me, ask Claire Lopez. She's doing amazing work on this, and we're helping out with that. And what else? Let me look at my little notes here. The movie, obviously. Unfair movie, unfairmovie.com. Today is the special showing this evening. We want you to tweet out, if you're hearing this on the East Coast, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, WSBR, W Sunny Boca Raton, 7:40 a.m. on the dial. Tweet out, email your friends all over, particularly the ones to the west of us. 7 o'clock tonight, everywhere in the United States, at a local theater. Go to unfairmovie.com. We had a whole show on it yesterday. The producers of this show say it's time to abolish the IRS. And they're not crazies with tin hats and all of that. They're saying there is a better way for Americans to pay their taxes, which we all agree must happen, but a way that provides much more freedom, much more revenue, decreasing the IRS entity, decreasing the stranglehold it has. Take a look. Take a look at this 30-second trailer. We want you to go to this movie tonight. Unfair Movie. Here we go.
In theaters nationwide, October 14th at 7 p.m.
It's just about too much power in Washington.
Unfair. This is a one-night event.
Here I'm being accosted by this IRS agent.
The church was their opponent. They got to silence the church.
This is a film every American must see. For tickets and locations, go to unfairmovie.com.
All right, it's about 8 minutes, 9 minutes, something like that. We're not that.
We're flexible in time.
Yeah, we're flexible in time. Come on, time is an illusion anyway. Just think, the moment you're born, you start dying. Try to figure that one out, okay?
That's depressing.
Yeah. Well, the death rate. You know what the death rate is worldwide?
100%.
100%. If you're alive, you're going to die, folks.
You're a guaranteed winner.
Unless you're a Christian and you believe in the rapture, and we should do some work on that at some point. But who are we? Today's show is a little different than our normal investigative reports. We decided to just kick back a little bit and kind of have a free-flowing show of various topics that I'll explain, give a little commentary on. We'll go to the Peanut Gallery. Peanut 1, introduce yourself.
I am Damon, and I thought I was peanut number 2, but you're looking at me.
I'm
Okay.
Peanut.
I
I
thought
don't
that
want to
was
be Peanut
Peanut
2. I want to be Peanut 1.
You guys can fight about that.
I don't
You wanna
want to
be-
be
That's what
Mr.
peanuts
Pink.
do.
That's what peanut-
I don't want to be Mr. Pink.
You want to be peanut number 1, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be Peanut 1.
Mark's the head peanut. What is Mike? Peanut number 3?
Peanut 3.
All right, peanut number 1. Introduce yourself to the good folks here. You used to have a camera on you. We need to bring that
I
back.
broke it. I broke
They
it.
want to see you.
No.
And we never show Damon.
That's
we never
right.
show Damon, but we do show you. Your
Right.
face, your mug is out there.
Right.
You've been on Hannity.
Yes.
Why were you on Hannity?
Well, typical Obama tactics. What happened was they accosted a person while trying to attend a meeting who had stage 3 cancer, and was a bunch of union thugs who attacked him, Democrat union thugs, trying to prevent this guy to going into an Obamacare meeting. And therefore, they got brought up to Hannity. And
What were you doing there?
I was videotaping it.
Oh, you were taping it.
Right.
So you were the
And also the union thugs, they knocked my camera in hand, knocked my glasses off, broke my glasses, and were physically keeping out hundreds and hundreds of people trying to get into the Obamacare meeting. And they were pushed out and forbidden to come, and stacked the whole room in an event with Democrat supporters of Obamacare. And it was, a national story. And that thing happened again and again and again all over the country. Mine was but one example. And
you happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, or the right place at the right time.
Right.
I with our show here on WSBR 740 AM, that's the radio side. We are on commercial radio. We have a radio show that literally covers millions of Floridians. Don't forget, Florida is the 3rd largest state in the union now, behind what 2 states, Mike?
He doesn't have a microphone. He can't answer this.
He's reading the Quran over there.
He's a
going
good Muslim.
jihad on us.
That's right, he is.
Anybody know?
California and Texas.
California, rough idea of the population?
35 million in
About
Texas?
35 million in California.
Or California, I mean?
Yeah. And Texas?
Texas is around 25 million?
About 25 million, and Florida is
19.
19 million. We
Where's New
surpassed-
York at? Where's New York at?
Same.
We just surpassed New York.
So
There's-
Actually, New York and Florida being 19, there's 5 million, I think, that are actually...
They go back and forth.
Just go back and forth.
yeah. Now the Florida's the biggest. Oh, the snowbirds went home.
There's
New
a
York's
total
the biggest.
population of 38 million, but there's only 33 million. I don't understand.
Yeah, I know. But with our show that's broadcast over a large area, with the fact that we are on iHeartRadio worldwide, I got an email from a Muslim in Pakistan.
Oh, your new Pakistan
today, and he
friend.
wants to be my
Yeah.
friend and all of
homeland.
this. So I said, what do you think of the Islamic State? He goes, I have high views of the Islamic State. So we start chatting a little bit. But the point is, our show gets around, and it gets to the right people. We hit a lot of policy leaders, a lot of activists, quite a few elected officials in the United States, other places. Mark, you've done some of the analytics. How many countries are we playing in normally?
All of but China
They kind
and
of fly.
parts of Russia we're not playing, and pretty much all over the world. There's not that many countries we don't stream to or get a hold of. In fact, our demographics show it's about 17% of our viewership actually comes from all foreign entities.
places.
Israel's a big player.
Israel's a big one. But a lot of the not so nice countries that watch
Oh,
us
yeah.
aren't too happy about our direct views and our clear elucidation, unlike President Obama, about the facts of whether it's the socialism is a bad system of wealth management, of revenue management, whether it's bad foreign policy, whether it's a horrible military doctrine, whether it's the upheaval or upheaval, as
That's
it
your
should
word.
be,
That's your word.
of this society, turning it upside down. And we have local politicians, I think we'll introduce some of them in this segment too, in Florida that are critical because we're a swing state. We have, 21 days left to November for this midterm election, and then it's a 2-year sprint to the end of the world election. And if the Democrats gain control, and most of them are leftists now, and we make a distinction between your wife, who's a liberal,
Right.
and your wife, Damon, who doesn't exist. We make a distinction between leftists and liberals.
Right.
Liberals are simply confused individuals who want to be conservatives, but leftists are not confused. They have an agenda that they're working out, and it's antithetical to the United States doctrine, to the founding documents, all of that stuff. But we got a lot of stuff today. And Mark, people always say, oh, he's got such a nice voice. Who is he and what does he do? Give us a 30-second overview of why you spend your time making no money, putting your life at risk, and producing this show and all the fabulous videos we do.
Because I have to. Calling from God, if you will. You have to do this stuff, and once you have the knowledge of what's going on in the world, it's kind of like knowing what Hitler did before Hitler did it. And once you realize that fact and you believe it and you know it in your heart to be true, you have to do something, and everything else kind of drops by the wayside when you look at the importance of what's going on and how it will affect Western society, America, the whole world in general. I mean, look what happened with the Holocaust in Germany. I mean, we've been saying this for years, that this ISIS crowd was coming, this caliphate is coming, that they're not going to stop, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and we need to have someone, to challenge, this, despotic, evil, ideology. And that's the reason I do what I do.
Fighting the good fight.
Yeah, well.
What about you, Peanut number 2? Peanut Gallery number 2. What you can do a million different things. You have degrees, very unique degrees. You've worked. Well, tell the people a little bit about you.
I just like chasing bad guys with Tom Trento.
and government lies and Muslim spies.
Right.
You have an academic background.
Yes.
You want to reveal that?
I am a graduate of the University of Florida. I used to be a bond options trader in Chicago. And after, I would say, the first World Trade Center bombing, 1993, I started reading a lot on topic of Islamic terrorism. In fact, in Chicago, back in the mid-90s, I used to stand next to Leon Klinghoffer's nephew every day in the pits.
Oh, boy. And who is Leon Klinghoffer?
Leon Klinghoffer was the disabled Jewish man thrown off of the Achille Lauro. And
he was on vacation.
Yep.
And the ship was attacked by Palestinian jihadis.
Yep.
Right.
And they threw him off.
Yeah. And Jeff Klinghoffer, I stood next to him every day for several years, and it was weird. And then after 2001, that's all she wrote. I've been consuming this stuff nonstop. And then I hooked up with you at when you had Gert Wilders in town in 2008 was the night I met you. And then since then, I've...
Wow.
Well, I got a question, Tom.
Wait. You are of the Jewish persuasion?
Yes.
Okay, so we have our token
I'm
Jew
from the
here.
I'm a Unitarian.
He's a unicorn.
You're
Mark
a
has
unicorn.
for those who don't know this, Mark has a 10-inch horn on the center of his head.
Unicorn.
Unicorn.
Unitarian.
Right.
I'm a Christian, so we have a little diversity here. We are the United West. The name of the organization explains what we're trying to do, unite the West against the evil onslaught of Islamic Jihad. We think that's a clear and present danger. Then there's, in addition to these guys in the studio, there's about 25 other people here helping run the show.
Right. Speaking of one, Tom, I got a question. You know what I do, you know what Damon does, what you do, why you're here. Why in the heck is Imam Abdullah here? I've asked this question over and over again. What are you doing here, Imam?
I keep locking the front door, but he finds his way in.
I come here to keep tabs on the Ayatollah of Islamophobia himself, Tom Trento. And I come here to give you the honest truth from the Muslim perspective.
the honest truth from the Muslim perspective.
Yeah.
So, is ISIS practicing Islam correctly?
Absolutely, perfectly, to the T. They are emulating the Prophet Muhammad.
It's the truth. He's telling the truth.
What would
there.
Muhammad do, right?
Yeah, what would Muhammad do? WWMD.
Very, very
WMD.
opposite of what your Jesus would do.
Yes, that's
Even-
true.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
All right, so that's a little bit about you guys. We do have about 4 or 5 others that help us pull the show together and help promote it and do all of that. Then the United West has the next concentric circle of activists, probably 10, 15, 20 people that are close to the organization that help promote it and explain stuff. We do not, like some of the very good organizations, Act for America. We do not have a membership. We do not want a whole lot of people involved. We want to run a very slim, streamlined, activist educational organization. We're a 501c3, which means what?
Tax deductible if you want to give this Islamophobe any money.
If you want to help keep us on the air and keep us doing what we do. And a lot of our work is public, and a lot of it is not public. But if you'd like to contribute, you can contact me, Tom, at the United West. The donations are indeed tax deductible, and we can show you. We operate on pennies compared to some of these large organizations that are great organizations, but we can use your help along those
You
lines.
get a lot of bang for the buck with these guys.
You really
You know, I just thought of something, Tom. We're kind of like the, comparatively speaking, as far as like activist organizations, we're kind of like the Jewish religion in a way, where it's hard to get in. We don't actively
that's
proselytize to
That's
try to get
interesting.
people to join us. I mean, it's really opposite. You know,
No, it is. I mean, if somebody wants to be a Muslim,
3 times.
the
The
Muslim
Shahada
says-
3
yeah.
times you are Muslim.
if you want to be a Christian, we say, sure, here's some basic beliefs, and your heart has to be right and accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, and you've become a believer in Christ and God and follow Him. To become a Jew, can I become a Jew? No.
First of
We don't
all,
need you here. And then if you finally can persuade somebody, I'd like to really become a Jew. Okay. You have about 5 years of training, and then
Right.
all kinds of hoops you got to jump through,
Right.
and then maybe we'll let you in at that point. In that sense,
Yeah.
there is a comparison between our work. We've had many people want to join or get involved in some capacity, and we keep it. You have to be a little demented.
twisted. Yes,
Little-
twisted. Yeah.
You have to be afraid of, not too much, And on a serious note, you have to be willing to believe in the principles that we're fighting for more so than even your own life.
Right.
I think we've all concluded sooner or later this battle's going to get us, one way or the other. And
Well, the idea of what we do is to prevent the clash of civilizations having the battlefield here. Let's keep it where it's happening now in Europe, which it clearly is. I mean, who listening to this would ever in their lifetimes think that Sweden and Denmark have areas that you cannot go that are completely dominated by
No-go
Muslim
zone.
gangs that you can't even get into? In Sweden and Denmark.
No-go zones. Yeah.
and Paris.
Paris and London have been gone for a decade.
Mark and I have walked the streets of Paris. We've gone up to the banlieues, up to the banned areas. We've videotaped there. We've had folks infiltrate those areas.
Right.
And as the irony of our name, the United West, we're trying to unite the West, the 23, 24 European countries, North America, in a consolidated movement founding itself on its historic principles of the Greco-Roman philosophical foundings, and then of the Jewish scriptures, the Christian scriptures. You put all this stuff in a pot and stir it around, you come out with some pretty good principles, Western principles. But your point is well taken, Damon. The European countries have conceded in many respects. I'm reading right here,
Right.
Pamela Geller put up on her site that yesterday, I believe it is, the UK, United Kingdom, votes for jihad and Jew hatred, craving, quizzling MPs. She's got away with words.
Right.
Members of Parliament vote to back a call for the government to recognize Palestine Palestine as a state. Now, there's a movement in England to do this, to recognize it as a state.
Oh, the vote was horrendous. It was like 240 something to 12 or something like that. They just did the vote.
Now, let's take a step back. Why in the world would an educated member of Parliament of England, folks who still walk the streets where the V1 bombs came in over from Germany,
Right.
an ideology, a Nazi ideology, comparably similar in many respects to Islamic doctrine, in terms of the centralization, identification of a group of people that don't have humanity. Once you remove humanity from a class, this group of existing protoplasma and genes and fluids are no longer considered valued humans, in that case, Jews, in this case, non-Muslims. Then you can perpetrate the world's most heinous crimes. You can
Right.
crucify them, you can slaughter them, you can behead them, as the folks in the Islamic State are doing. But these educated Brits who lived that history, many of them, are now voting to recapture and regenerate that history among themselves. How's that work out?
I'm sorry, it was 274 to 12 votes in favor of recognizing.
Palestine as a state.
Yeah.
Right.
What goes through? Let's try to find some of those guys and Skype them in and get.
Well,
get
it's the
their
same
view.
mentality. Why would you elect a person, in the 1930s to run your country who had almost the exact same ideology? I mean, seriously, if you look at the comparative, why do you want to do something that's intentionally going to hurt you or kill you? It doesn't. It kind of blows the mind, and it shows where this political correctness has just gone completely amok.
Hi, Tom Trento here on WSBR AM radio, on iHeartRadio worldwide. WSBR is a South Florida station from Miami to Palm Beach, covering 80 miles or so, and several million people. There we have a slide up. What does that one say?
Jihad, it's from Robert Spencer's Jihad Watch. UK Parliament votes 274 to 12 in favor of recognizing, quote, the state of Palestine.
Unbelievable.
The state of Palestine that doesn't have a working government, the state of Palestine that sponsors terrorism and is at war with itself internally, where they're literally, and I don't mean arguing like Democrats and Republicans, I mean like killing each other in
Right.
the streets.
And-
Internal
and-
fighting. And these left-wing morons want to recognize them
But-
as a
but my
state. They
question-
couldn't run a household, let alone a state.
My question is, you get, somebody who's gone to the London School of Economics, gone to some of the great schools, Oxford in England. How do they say, I'm going to vote for Palestinian jihadis to run their own state because that's the best thing for the world? What goes through their mind? These are not dumb people.
The dollar signs and the votes because of the massive Muslim populations over there. So they're just filthy politicians, and they're, anti-Semitism is far from dead in this world.
Well, why can George Galloway declare
Muslim. He's probably a Muslim, but he's a member of Parliament of England right now.
right? George Galloway, member of Parliament, declared his town of West Bradford, his district, if you will, a Jew-free zone, and gets away with it. Can you imagine trying to have a Jew-free zone in Florida, let alone just Florida? That would be fun. Anywhere. Can you imagine how apoplectic people would go if that were to happen?
Well,
and yet it's totally okay, in the UK.
Well, there's a Jew-free zone in Israel. It's called Gaza. No Jews allowed.
Right.
And in areas in the West Bank, if you have an Israeli license plate on your car, you're not allowed to drive into these areas.
Right.
So there's Jew-free zones in Israel, and those who are overseeing those zones want all of Israel to be a Jew-free zone. But your point, I think, Damon, was well taken. Here we are in the 21st century, 2014, on the 14th of October, and the great Kingdom of the United Brits vote to establish Palestine as a state and to give money to them, most likely because some may think this is sort of a quick path to a sane, civilized, safe, secure world. Give them their state, they won't want any more, they'll be happy. But also there's the perpetration of them staying in office. People like to stay in office. And if you have a very significant Muslim population that can work against you, you concede to that. And here's where the West is falling, no question.
And the problem with Europe is they had a completely open border policy to let all these groups who didn't come to that country, UK or Europe for that matter of fact, did not come in to assimilate into the culture, but brought their culture over and are trying to change it into the crappy culture that they left.
That is what we do. We do not assimilate.
and
That would be very un-Islamic.
It's a fascinating study. You can read Bat Your's Eurabia, how the deal was cut after World War II. And even though the doctrine was understood of Islamic Jihad, after World War II, Europe needed bodies to rebuild, and they needed fuel. They needed gasoline, which somehow was under Saudi and Middle Eastern Islamic countries. So Europe, particularly England, cut a deal and said, we'll take you workers in. You can come here. And the Arabs at that point, most of these Muslims were Arabs, said, okay, we have 2 or 3 conditions. And this is all articulated very clearly in a phenomenal book called Eurabia. Eurasia's another deal. Eurabia by Bat Yor. And the Muslims said, we will come and do the work. We will give you fuel. We want 3 things. We want mosques set up in our neighborhood. We want social welfare. And we want to bring our families over. And that was in 1945, 46. Today, we have the proliferation of Islamic doctrine throughout Europe. From what I understand, 5,000 jihadis are being watched every day in London. The MI5 and the MI6, you guys know the distinction between the two? MI5, MI6?
Is 5 domestic and 6 international? Like
Yeah.
5 would be our FBI and 6 would be like our CIA?
Yeah, 5 is internal, 6 is external. MI5 is watching 5,000 jihadis every day in London. London alone. Welcome to the United Kingdom. You mentioned a Jew-free zone a little earlier. It's about 30-something after the hour, 4 o'clock, on another fabulous day. We may have a little bit of rain out there. Look, our radio show, we're not real big on the weather in Florida. If you're driving in your car and you want to know what the weather is, we got good advice for you. What is that?
It's hot, raining.
Look out the window. Look out the window of your car. That's what the weather is, all right? We're here to bring you information, a little bit of edutainment. We want to educate and entertain, and we usually want you to have one big idea to go away with. And the big idea today is very simple. Western civilization in its doctrine. And we stress here at the United West academically doctrine. We're concerned what the belief structure of a particular human being or a civilization, a state or a country is, not necessarily what the behavior of the participants is. Because you can act in contradistinction to your belief system, and then people think your belief system, i.e. Islam, is something other than it truly is. Or if you act consistently according to your belief structure, the United States, which was a Judeo-Christian, primarily Christian structure for 250 of the 239 years, we had a very sane, benevolent, forgiving, just integrity culture. That's being turned upside down on its head. I saw a little segment yesterday where an interviewer was asking college students about Columbus Day, asking, what did Columbus do and when did he do it? You could not believe the results.
Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492, yeah.
Yeah, go get somebody under 20 who knows that anymore. It was Columbus, he founded America in 1940. It was in the 1200s he sailed somewhere. I mean, just mass confusion. So to maintain the integrity and glue that keeps a culture together, you have to have a minimal level of some understanding of who you are and what you're all about. That's our purpose here for this show today. Western civilization has historically proven itself to be better than any culture, and it's worth communicating and dying for if necessary. But the other guys, the bad guys, believe the same thing. Thus, this clash we're trying to...
And they're dedicated.
Oh yes, like has been commonly quoted, we love death more than you love life. How do
Yes.
you win, infidels?
You mentioned a Jew-free zone in
Right.
England. We have a Muslim-free zone here in Arkansas.
Right.
And tomorrow we're working on our special guest, Jan Morgan, who is a strong Second Amendment proponent, Second Amendment. She's an NRA, National Rifle Association member, and she owns a shooting range in Arkansas. And recently she made the very controversial, very provocative statement, "No Muslims allowed at my rifle range. No Muslims allowed at my rifle range."
She's doing that for their own safety.
CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations, went bonkers.
Right.
They called our buddy Eric Holder. Eric, they have a speed dial, by the way, for Eric Holder.
Right.
Eric, got some broad out in Arkansas who's going nuts. We want you to deal with her. Find some law that you can use to shut her up, okay? Did you ever try to shut Jan Morgan up? Ain't happening, folks.
Ain't happening.
And she has fought back and said, hey, why am I going to give a gun to people whose doctrine says it's okay to kill me, somebody disagrees with their view, and somebody that is opposed to the way they live? And thus this battle. On the face, it looks like there is prejudice there. You know, I mean, if you say no blacks at my range,
Right.
or no Italians like me at my
No
range,
Muslim,
what the
yeah.
heck is this?
Well, I kind of have a little bit different take on it.
Okay.
It would be, okay, I'm going to ban all KKK members from coming to my gun range. How many people would agree with that? Or I'll
Interesting.
I'm going to not
So
allow.
you're a real card-carrying member of the Ku Klux Klan,
Right,
and you're white,
right,
and you call yourself a Christian.
right.
And go ahead, pick it up from there.
Also, the same argument made is like, I don't allow any Nazis to come to my gun range. In fact, I have a real problem with Nazis having guns at my gun range because I really don't agree with them. And so there you make the argument. You're going, well, are all Muslims Nazis or skinheads or KKK? And what Jan's argument is well, no, but a majority, a large percentage of them they are terrorists. In fact, we know 80% of the mosques are Muslim Brotherhood financed and run. Also, out of those mosques, we know at least 10 to 15% have very extreme radical ideas. And she says, well, I'm not going to take a chance at a gun range
interesting.
with having a person who has this ideology, who I know 80% of them go to radical mosque, to have a gun at my gun range. And it's her right. It's
So
her.
she's thinking it through a little deeper level.
Right.
What would be the counter argument? Well, you know what? We'll have her on tomorrow's show,
Right.
Wednesday the 15th. We'll have her on, and we'll let her explain her view. But you're looking at the doctrinal beliefs of someone who's a member of a club,
Right.
and saying, I don't want that club on my private property with guns.
Right.
With guns.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
That's just crazy.
Huh, interesting. Okay.
I mean, if it's a privately owned gun
Yeah,
range,
you can't say privately owned, no blacks here, but are blacks a member of a club, maybe if they're Black Panthers?
black is not an ideology.
Yeah, well, this is where
Islam is an ideology, so that's not a good comparison.
this is where the public is a knee-jerk reaction. Oh, Muslim-free zone. She's taking it a little bit further. Islamic Jihad free zone. But, I mean, we'll let her explain it.
Islam
because
is also,
I'm undecided on this.
contrary to all your detractors and Frank Gaffney's and General Jerry Boykin's, Islam is not a race, folks.
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, neither is Judaism, though. I mean,
Well,
if you
technically it is.
well, no, technically it's not. It's a religion, and you're not of the Jewish race. I mean, you're not of the Jewish. I mean,
That's debatable. There are people that refer to it that way.
Yeah, there are some that refer. This is Mark's argument he's had for a long time.
Yes,
on,
I have.
on the race classification. But instead of going to the complicated ones, let's go to the simple ones at first. Is Islam a race?
No,
Well, is it a religion?
hardly.
Yes. It's a
Partially.
religion. No,
Partially.
It's a religion. I mean, it's a religion.
But it's mainly an ideology it's a political ideology mainly. It is not. I mean, you look at all the authoritative doctrines, and I'm not talking about my opinion. I'm talking about authoritative Islamic scholars that says Islam is a theocratic government form that must reign supreme over whatever country it goes into.
When you talk about is something a religion, it's very simple. In the United States of America, if the IRS recognizes an organization or
Right.
entity as a religion and grants it C3 status, tax deductible status, in the eyes of the law in the United States of America, it is a religion.
So the Church of Scientology is also a real religion. then?
Absolutely, it's viewed as a religion by the IRS.
But here's the distinction between like
the Church of Satan is a religion according to the IRS, and in one sense that's okay because there's no real delineation of what religion means. Now, if you go philosophically, and this is my background, if you go philosophically,
Right.
what is a religion? You have to have a deity you have to have a particular set of rules, you have to practice those rules, you have to have a view of eternity, you have to have a view of the afterlife, you have to have a view of death. There's certain elements that comprise.
Islam has all of those.
Islam qualifies philosophically as a religion.
Well,
certainly.
Here's my problem, though. My problem is I could care less if you want to, go butt up towards Mecca 5 times a day. If you want to worship a tree, if you want to worship Satan, I could care less. That's what a Unitarian says. You can believe in whatever you want to believe in. I could care less.
And I'm a Unitarian, and I'm going to hold that
He's
line.
got the horn to prove it.
And he does.
What I'm trying to say is that you can do all those things. In fact, that's what the First Amendment allows you to do, to practice your religion in your own way, personally, what you personally want to do. But when you have something that wants to supplant the Constitution, that goes past the point of being a religion into a political theocratic ideology.
Good point. Well, two things here. Let me keep the audience at 40-something. It was about 43 minutes after 4 o'clock on the East Coast, 14th October. Make sure you go to unfairmovie.com. Tell your friends west of here to get out 7 o'clock tonight. You ought to get out 7 o'clock tonight. This show ends at 5 o'clock. You still have 2 hours to get to the movie theater. We want you to go there. Very, very important movie. We're kicking back a little bit here. This is not the 5 on Fox. This is the 3 at the United West. We're having conversations about some of these issues. One point in particular we just brought up, whether Islam was a race, because if you criticize the doctrines of Islam, as we do, if you criticize the doctrines of socialism, as we do, we criticize a lot of doctrines. Well, if you do it to Islam, you are immediately
You're apostate.
You're called a racist. Our argument, another big idea for today, is you are academically, if I was your professor and you said Islam is a race, I would fail you. Any professor, any teacher, worthy of their own academic validation,
Which are fewer and fewer these days.
would fail you if you said Islam was a race. So if somebody criticizes Islam, how do you call them a racist? How's that happen?
We don't. I call you an Islamophobe.
A fear of Islam. All right. We've established for the record Islam is not a race, so calling people racist is comical, right?
Right.
It's the oldest Democrat lefty trick in the book. That's, when they're losing an argument, what's the first thing they say? Oh, he's a racist.
He's a racist. Well, that's nonsense. And get with it. And people on our side who are fighting to save the West, don't buy into that. Just laugh that off. And you people that use that little device thinking it scores a point, it doesn't. It just shows your own stupidity to call Islam a race. It isn't, because virtually every race in the world has members of Islam. You can be a member of any race and be a member of Islam, and then you're called a Muslim.
Right. And not to mention, Islam is one of the most racist of all religions. It is the most racist of all religions.
It really is.
Within inside its own community, it's severely racist.
Extremely racist.
I mean, with some of the stories of blacks from Europe and America, how they are treated on Hajj in Mecca is unbelievable. They are treated like garbage on their Hajj pilgrimage.
The women in Islam, and we know this to be a fact, and the reformers notwithstanding, women are third-class citizens. You need, 4 women to be a witness to every one male. The inheritance goes twice to the male. A male could have 4 wives. A woman can have how many husbands?
One.
Talk about a racist. I mean, there's denying human rights like we've ever seen. But all right, we're establishing that Islam is not a race. And we're going to do a lot of work on these issues from the national security perspective. But I want to bring a couple of more points up for our free-flowing 3 show today, where the 3 of us are discussing stuff. And maybe we'll take a call or two. In fact, let's take a call from one of our callers. Who do we have out there?
We have BJ Francisco on the line.
Oh, BJ Francisco. No, I don't want to take a call from him.
You know what?
We'll take a call from him. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm a big listener of your show. I'm PJ Francisco. I live in Wilton Manors. And also, I wanted to say that after listening to you for the last week, you sound very intolerant.
Yes, I'm intolerant of lies and injustice, but I'm very tolerant of human beings, whether they are of one sexual persuasion or another. I may disagree with the homosexual lifestyle, but the individual attached to that as a human being, and from a Christian point of view, deserves compassion, respect, consideration. But I can fight the what I believe a confused view of sexuality, and this carries over to the Islamic world too.
Look, let me tell you how we treat them.
I know. We're always accused of hating Muslims. And again, that's one of these knee-jerk things that we kind of laugh off. It has some resonance with low information or dumb voters, dumb people. But simply because you criticize my beliefs as a Christian doesn't mean you hate me. In fact, if you're truly being honest and you criticize my beliefs, you're trying to help me and say, Tom, you're mistaken in your beliefs. And I welcome that. I'm not interested in following Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior because that's what I want to do and I'll die doing that. I want to follow the truth. I'm persuaded today, the 14th of October, 2014, that it's the truth. If someone can persuade me differently, I will love them for that, not hate them. Conversely, if I believe Islam is a doctrine, if we believe it's a doctrine of destruction and death in its teachings, and we try to tell Muslims, hey, you're following something that's bad. We don't hate you, just the opposite. Why would we risk who we are, what we do in our lives, to tell you you're walking in a way that's going to get you hurt? Rethink this. That's not hatred, that's love.
And it's the same parallel. Once again, because history is repeating itself over and over and over again. And you go back to 1930s. We don't hate Germans, we hate Nazis. And it's a different mentality. Once you make that distinction inside your head that Muslims are people and the ideology is what's abhorrent, that's the reason we were able to help reconstruct Germany, because we didn't have that loathing and hatred of Germans. We had the loathing and hatred of the ideology that made Nazism. And
that's a very, very good point. And the distinction here, another big idea for our viewers today at about 50 minutes past 4 o'clock, WSBR Tom Trento. You're listening to me on AM radio. Damon, Mark here in studio. Very important point, Mark. We in the West say you can believe whatever you want.
Right.
But you can't behave any way you want.
Right.
You can believe in your Islamic stuff and bow to Mecca and do all that, the Hajj. You can do all that stuff. You can believe in Joseph Smith as your prophet over on the Mormon side, but you really can't in America
Chop people's heads off.
have 25 wives.
Right.
So we here in the United States wrote a law against polygamy,
Right.
and said we recognize your religion of Mormonism, but you are not allowed to have multiple wives. Same sort of thing. We recognize your religion of Islam and practice it any way you want until it violates laws that we believe are better than your Sharia law.
But this is ridiculous because all the laws man needs are in the Quran and the Hadith, and your man-made laws are garbage
Right.
compared to the laws of Allah.
And therein lies the battle, the cultural battle. And folks, this is not just a cultural battle where those of us here in the United West and other organizations are fighting to preserve Western culture. But once these individuals who believe this pick up a weapon, a
Right.
bomb, or chemicals,
Right.
as did the Islamic State against the Kurds recently, they used chemical weapons. We'll show some pictures this week. Then your beliefs, which you're entitled to, have changed your behavior, which you're not entitled to in the West or the United States. We will fight you, or we will send the F-16s to kill you. That's the way this game works.
We have another caller on the line.
We have another caller.
Yeah, we have Smucky Putznick from Kings Point.
Okay, let's bring him up.
He's interested in who you're going to be. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is his primary.
Yes. Hi,
Hi.
this is
Hi.
Schmucky Putznick, Tom. I've called your show plenty before. I'm glad you're back.
I remember you. It's. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so Tom,
Yes.
there is an Islamophobe named Joseph Kaufman running against my Debbie. What is this?
Yes. Do we have Debbie's website by any chance?
Yes.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz, for our very erudite audience. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is the congresswoman from the 23rd district? Broward County, Fort Lauderdale, along the beach down that way. She's been there for quite a few years. Not only is she the Democratic congresswoman in a totally skewed district, something like 15 points more Democrats,
Exactly.
15% than Republicans, but she was selected by the Messiah himself, Barack Hussein Obama, to lead the Democrat National Party.
She's a winner.
She's the head of the party, and she's going to be extremely difficult to knock off politically. She's a pretty good arguer, debater. She's loved and hated within the Democrat Party. I don't know if she's going to be the Democrat head after this election on November 4th, 21 days from today. But yes, a dear friend of ours, Schmucky, Joe Kaufman, is running against her, and we have a Jewish man.
I heard he's an Islamophobe. Is
But he's
this
a
true?
Jewish. What about the fact that he's Jewish?
So is she.
What do you do when you got a Democrat Jew and a Republican Jew? What do you Jews in?
Well, it's in our DNA to vote for the Democrat.
All the
But
time.
what I'm noticing is some people are starting to change. They don't like this Obama so much. And I notice some of my people are starting to vote the Republican side.
Oh my word!
It's
What-
crazy.
Do you let him into the Marjan games and the poolside and all
We
of that?
have had fights with the shuffleboard sticks. It's not pretty.
All right. Well, Joe Kaufman, who has been on this show, Joe has spent a distinguished career as a counterterrorism analyst, counterterrorism researcher, writer, and one of the strongest Zionists I know. Schmucky. A
Yes.
Zionist believes that Jerusalem should remain the undivided capital of Israel. Historically, from the day that that God ordained that and established that to the day that everything ends. Do you believe that do Democrats believe that Jerusalem should be the eternal capital and immediate capital of Jerusalem?
Wait, you
of
did
Israel
a trick
forever?
on me. First you was asking if I believe it, then you ask if the Democrats. I believe it, yes. Jerusalem is the capital of the Jewish people, undivided. Now, these Democrats, they want to give half of it to the Palestinians so they can destroy it.
What does Debbie want to do?
She is with what Obama and the Democrats want. So, you just gave me a headache,
Oh,
and I'm
good
going
vote.
to have to consider voting for the Islamophobe Kaufman.
Oh, we're making headway
Oi.
here.
Yeah.
Man,
Boy, that
man.
one hurts.
All right, Schmucky, thank you. We're going to stay in touch with you. But
Nice talking to you.
Joe Kaufman is a hardcore Zionist. I mean, he lives and breathes and bleeds blue and white Israeli blood. He's not an
Right.
Israeli, he's an American citizen, but he lives to defend Judaism and Israel. And he does that by fighting against the Islamic State, by fighting against the leftists who want to divide Israel. And it only makes sense. This is the confusing thing, Mark Damon. In a district that is majority Jewish people, and you have an individual fighting for the integrity of the state of Israel, that he is the underdog in this race. How's that work out?
Because he's in a plus 16 Democrat county.
Well, that's just it. I mean, the Jew. Listen, as a Jew,
Now you're Damon.
yes, I've been.
Damon,
As a Jew, when 80% of us vote for a party that has anything but the interests of Israel as a philosophy, to basically destroy the state of Israel and the current strength that it has, how do you as a Jew vote for this party? It is absolutely amazing. If you remember at the last convention, when they asked for a verbal vote on
Right.
Jerusalem being the capital of Israel, it was
No.
booed. They booed it, and it was a false ad to their platform. I mean, if they really wanted to go around and count the yeas and nays, it would have been a nay, and it never would have made it to their platform. The Democrat Party is not a party that is looking out for Israel's interest in any way.
And folks, my experience, many years fighting this battle, I found that there are two types of Jewish people. Zionists who hold that indeed Jerusalem ought to be the undivided capital. Undivided means you don't cut the city in half. And if you want to know more about this, March 21st, you got to come with us to Israel. We are going to go into the divided city. It is divided now in many respects between East and West. We're going to go there. We're going to meet with people. We're going to explore, research, analyze why Jerusalem ought to remain the undivided capital of Israel, not only from a historic or theological perspective for Jews and Christians, but for a national security perspective for every single American. That's so important. Jerusalem, and it's not the capital now, the capital of Israel is where? I mean, the embassy of Israel.
I was going to
Yeah,
say,
okay, there is
Jerusalem
no
is the
capital.
capital of Israel. No, the United States
The divided
Tel
Jerusalem is
Aviv.
the capital. The embassy, which is supposed to be in the
in
capital.
the capital is not in the capital because this administration refuses to even answer the question when they're asked at a point blank range. You can't get the State Department to give you a straight answer on their view on this.
We don't predict future developments. We can't predict that now. What's going to happen to the city of Jerusalem and where the embassy is going to be located. But our point is very
In
simple.
fact, they call it Al-Quds. The U.S. officials call it Al-Quds.
Some of them call it
John
Al-Quds.
Brennan, our Secretary of
He was
or
the head of the CIA. Called it Al-Quds.
and thinks it's just the most beautiful thing
Al-Quds
going.
is the most,
the same.
I have found, my experience is that many Western Jews, many American Jews, really are not Zionists in the sense that Zion, which is the biblical name for Jerusalem, ought to be the eternal and the immediate capital. And their view is very simple. They say, look, I'm here in America, my whole family's here. Yeah, my roots are in Israel, but I'm trying to run businesses. I'm trying to donate money, keep things going, raise a family, be a productive American. This whole Israel thing is driving everybody crazy. Give the damn city to the Palestinians. They'll
shut
be
'em up,
happy.
yeah.
And then the world will be a safer place.
Unfortunately, that's not how it works.
If you understand Islamic doctrine, that's
Absolutely
not how it works.
not.
That's not how it works. Oh, okay, we only got a minute
In fact,
or so
it's the
left.
worst thing you can do if you understand Islamic doctrine.
I had a whole thing on Ebola
Yeah.
that we'll do on another show, but Ebola is, from a national security perspective, I fear, and many people are fearing, the fact that jihadis have identified an Achilles where biological warfare can be conducted through the use of infecting people, getting them purposely infected, then purposely spreading this in the United States
O'Keefe.
of America. You know?
Remember
And
O'Keefe?
coming over the border, yeah. So we will bring that up on a future show. Right now, we got to wrap this up. Thank you for joining Tom Trento, Damon Mark on today's show, the 14th of October, 2014, unfairmovie.com. Check it out. Go see it. We'll see you tomorrow.